You're listening to the podcast for grain merchandisers by grain merchandisers. Join us in our good-humored attempt to serve as a voice of reason in an industry fraught with misconceptions and half-truths. And now, from deep in America's heartland, this is the Elevator's Cut.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of The Elevator's Cut. I'm one of your hosts, Roger Gattis.
And I'm your other host, Jason Wheeler. And boy, when I say we have a packed bit of things to talk about,
you are lying out your teeth.
No, man, it's fall. It's harvest time in the grain business.
Things are so packed, bins are collapsing all over the country.
It's true. They're cracking. They're showing their insides a bit.
People are filming them way too close to the thing imploding. And they're like, oh my God, it's coming after me.
It's insane.
People are standing way too close to
Very
collapsing
much.
Things.
Hey, but
for
nobody
the sake
got
of
hurt.
Getting a video on Ticker Talk.
Well, anyways, yeah, so bins are exploding with so much grain.
Is so much.
And, it's because of years and years of ignoring maintenance and things.
Well, I think some of these are just
eventually
old.
They get too
Just
old.
Very
but
old.
But you ignore it and you say, you know what, just keep putting it in until the thing falls down. I don't know if that's the best idea. I think you recognize, hey, this is let's stop using it. And then, I feel like that's a better method.
You know how big the crop is? We got to put it in places.
I mean, there's
no empty airspace.
Yeah, but I mean, you can pile stuff if you need to.
They did pile it vis-a-vis the bin
It became
collapsing.
a pile. And, probably with all the concrete in it, it gained weight, and they'll probably sell more bushels this way. Yeah, it's going to work out better this way.
2% FM allowed. There you go. So, we talk about it. Obviously, it's a serious thing. You don't want anyone to get hurt or, it impedes harvest. Obviously, when a bin collapses onto the elevator and they can't do anything else. But it's one of those things like, is it happening more or is there just more people with phones in their pocket that can video it when it does happen? Both, maybe. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Things do get older every year, so it's possible more of that's happening. But a lot of grain out there, right? For the most part.
Yeah, I believe so. China's involved?
No, I don't think this year.
Not involved?
I don't think they're involved.
Maybe they're involved in the sense that they're making us store too much grain.
I was told China imports water through the hogs and soybeans, and they're not importing as much water through soybeans this year.
That's true.
I don't know about the pigs.
The water thing is real. Rice is very water intensive, so I mean they need water. They don't have a ton of clean water in China for what they need. So,
well, Arkansas's got a bunch of rice just sitting around this year, right? Why don't they take that?
There's a good bit. Nobody likes the rice though.
What about it? Is it the look? Is it what is it about the rice? You're a rice man. You know all the rice things.
It's the quality stuff. We had chalk issues in years past. Now it's just not good quality rice.
Chalk. What does that mean?
Well, when you look at it at the grocery store, does it look like, nice, clean white rice, or does it look too chalky? It's a look thing.
Isn't chalk white?
Yeah. Yeah. Little too chalky. And I don't know the way it cooks and stuff, but the big thing this year is it's not milling well, like it's breaking as it.
So that's when they say it's not good milling quality, it means it's breaking in the milling process. That's the main.
Too much, yeah.
Gotcha.
So creating a lot of.
And people don't like buying broken rice to eat at home.
Correct. Do you want to see nice, big, long kernels? I don't know. It's just. That's what we do. We got to, because the rest of the world has figured out how to grow rice okay. And we used to know how to do it and all that stuff. I don't know. I'm not a seed scientist. You'd have to go
So the broken
ask.
rice, though, what is it good for? Dog food and beer, essentially?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything like that.
But I thought all the commercials on TV said dogs shouldn't be eating grain anymore. You're supposed to feed them basically your table scraps in a bag that you keep in your fridge.
Yeah, I mean, you can do that,
I mean, I've seen dogs eat a lot of questionable things. If they want to eat rice, just let them.
That's right.
Need all the demand we can get.
But yeah, so there's a lot of rice out there. looking for a home, and
last year's
the
and
milling
this
yields
year's
are
rice.
terrible. And anyways,
I had a friend of mine he works in the crop input business, and he had worked in the Mid-South up until recently, earlier this year. And his whole reason for moving zones, moving areas within the same company was this idea of like, these rice guys are in pretty bad shape. And he's like, however he's incentivized with selling and actually collecting the money on the inputs they sell, he's like, that's going to be a pretty hard job in that part of the world this next year. And so he moved to a different place where they don't grow rice, grow crops and pasture and stuff. And he's like, I can actually get a bonus here, type of thing. So it's like,
when did this happen?
Just recently.
Okay.
Just last few months. And he's like, internally what we're talking about with our, just the industry in general is like, there's going to be a fair bit of farmers that are facing the prospect of not being able to re-up their lending line this coming year. And we've heard that from from elevator folks about their customers across the country. I mean, it's not just a Mid-South thing. It's everywhere. But I think it's in the rice area, it seems to be a super duper problem.
Yeah. Lots of turnovers, reorganizations.
And again, a lot of it is probably younger guys, younger farmers, rent for sure, guys probably with rented ground as opposed to the guys that own their stuff. But that's nothing new. But it seems like there's, some reckonings coming up this winter.
It's up a little more this year, the stress for sure, because it's been like multiple years in a row across like all of row crop farming. And like
since 22, essentially.
Yeah, for rice in particular, we went through a decade or more where it was an every other year thing. Like we'd have tons of rice acres, and then prices would be low because we had so many acres.
Makes
and
sense.
so the next year I'd be like, I'm not planting that junk. And so we didn't have as many rice acres. Now the prices are better. And so anyways, we're kind of on the up and I think, rotations and all that stuff too, but because it's a very regional crop. But yeah, it was an every other year. We'd have a big crop, small crop, big crop, small crop. And so it's kind of, we're breaking that cycle because it's been tough for a few years now. So anyways, yeah, I don't know. The acres are still going to be, they're going to still have production no matter who farms it, but which crop in the Mid-South, it's a bigger deal because it's like, all right, well, if we're not going to do rice, where are we going? Beans.
Corn and beans.
Beans is probably a more natural fit for that ground down there historically, but
Beans is,
dude. That's what I always
beans
say.
Is.
Print the shirts. And anyways, they will be more likely to do that. But with all this tariff stuff, do we even need beans anymore? Because, okay, a couple years ago.
Basis says, yeah.
I've been through some time now. And so a few years back, listen,
decades.
I mean, they just keep coming, man. One year after the next. And so a few years back, it was like, all right, on soybeans, the margins on bean crush, unbelievable. Like usually,
like
bean crush,
$3 or something, right?
Right. Usually they shoot for $1. If they can get $1, they're doing really good. And it was well over $3 for like a couple years. And then what happened, of course, this is classic econ, which Roger doesn't even believe in. He thinks it's a pseudoscience.
Obviously.
Because people are involved. And but anyways, this one economic principle did pan out in that huge amount of profit in a certain business. A bunch of people put money into it. Now I'm going to get into that business. Well, you got to build big plants and processing plants and all that, crush plants. And they did. Huge amount. We're like, we're going to have to grow every acre in beans now from now on just to feed these plants, dude. And
processing plants, not soybean plants.
Yeah.
I mean, they're nitrogen fixing, so
okay.
Just saying.
Yeah. And so anyways, that was the thing. And now it's like we've got too many beans because we can't export them. Gotcha. But I was told we weren't going to need to export them because we have so much processing here. So this is the thing, like, even if you're listening to this at 3x speed, which you should
You should, yes.
You're still probably like, does this guy know anything? Like, he's supposed to be in this business. Why is he
Happy accidents.
People are listening to this, right? But anyways, yeah, it's like we got too much. So we got all the tariffs. People are upset or happy. I'm not sure, but there's a lot of emotion.
They're emotional. Let's put it that way.
And it was good, then it was bad, and we got a lot of processing, and now it's not. I don't know.
Free
it's
DP
too much. It's not
harvest.
enough.
I mean, come on. In a carry market, it's obviously somebody wants it, right?
Yeah. So I went into history.
But let me stop you right there.
Okay.
Talking about history. Before let's lay a little groundwork for what I think you're about to get into.
All right.
So the idea was going into this year, we didn't have our biggest export market open to us. And what are we going to do with all these beans? And it's turned out the beans, some places are super good. Central Kansas, 80 bushel beans. That's crazy for those
really
guys.
Good.
But, then you get north of St. Louis and they're 35. Whatever. There's bad spots every year, but it seems to be a pretty good streak of, the summer just summered and the beans got summered and they didn't make as good in places.
Too hot, not enough rain in August.
Yeah, but a lot of places, at least with soybeans, got through harvest really quick this year. They did last year too, but it seems like even maybe faster this year in places. And so even despite the fact we didn't have this big export program on to China that we usually do, basis was low, that being one reason for it. But, other things, basis was in a lot of places extraordinarily low for harvest time, especially you get up in the upper Midwest, the upper plains, because they rail stuff to P&W and there was no program going out there. So they're just like, there's $2 under, whatever, or I'm not buying beans.
Mm-hmm.
Well, once harvest stopped, it seems a couple things have happened. One, commercial elevators probably had stuff sold for what they were comfortable needing to move for harvest logistics. They probably that sold going into harvest. A lot of times they do, before basis gets low. You sell some based on what you're going to need to turn and burn at harvest to keep space to service your farmer customers. The other thing is it seems like as a percent of what is stored on farm this year, beans are a higher percent than normal.
Yes.
To some degree, I think a huge degree, but to some degree, beans are there's more beans on farm stored than corn this year than last year. As a mix of what
most years.
Yeah, in most years.
Usually beans go to town.
So between the commercials having sales already on that they need and they see the carry spreads, they're like, I don't need to sell anything more. I just need to get this stuff moved to service my customers. I'm going to take advantage of carry spreads and carry stuff out of harvest. Probably plan on making sales in JFM versus the March.
Right.
Pick up 2 nice carries, the Nov to Jan to March, and then sell. And farmers aren't moving anything. And it doesn't matter, like this whole big story about that big processor in Decatur, Illinois, going free DP this last week. Dude, once farm grain hits the farm bin in the fall, it ain't coming out until January 2nd at the earliest. It just is not coming out of those bins. So, because even if it goes up, people's like, it's already done this. It's going to get even better later. Or if it goes down, they're like, I'm going to wait. So 6 one way, half dozen another. It stays there. So these processors have seen a constriction of their supply coming in. It doesn't mean we're out of beans. It just means there's not as much coming in now as a week ago, 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. What's happened? Well, basis has responded, or they've gone to free DP to entice stuff in. But I think it's more common that basis has popped, and we've seen that from North Dakota to, Missouri to a lesser degree, just because bean harvest a little later. But a lot of places, Ohio, a lot of places, bean basis has popped once harvest got wrapped up, which it does. It's not unusual, but it has done it sooner in the season because harvest was faster, and maybe to a bigger degree, but just because I think basis started out at a lower level than overall. So,
and like you said, less beans were sold through harvest.
Yes.
So there's a greater need for the beans sooner.
Right. It doesn't mean we don't have beans, and maybe yields are off. I don't know. All I know is you can't read into the entire crop size by nearby basis movement. That doesn't make sense. Entire crop size is more reflected in futures vis-a-vis the spreads, and local movement of available grain is basis. Well, even if an area had a big bean crop, if it's stored and not available, it's treated as it doesn't exist. So basis responds accordingly. That's normal.
Yeah.
So I just kind of want to lay the groundwork before you get into your numbers, so to give our listeners an idea of what they already know, I'm sure, if they're in the business. But that's kind of the look from 30,000 foot.
Yeah. Yeah, and typically with soybean basis is by around Thanksgiving, it pops pretty good. And that's usually about when it does, like second half of November, mid to second half of November. And it's a few weeks early this year, which is not, that's happened. That
happened last year. Yeah.
That happens, a lot of years. More years than not, it's usually November, but a lot of the time it does happen a little early. You got to recognize it and take advantage of it. And all things being considered, even with big carries in the bean market, the futures market, the cost of carrying beans is so strong that it kind of, a lot of people will make sales this time of year into November, maybe even December, and they'll be when you adjust for cost to carry and the spreads and take it all things, the best sales you can make, basis wise.
Right.
So I think we're kind of in that thing. Full disclosure, this will be out in a month or something, or a few weeks. It's last week of October right now. We're talking about it. Basis is popped up pretty good. It may be in the midst of finishing the pop. It may be there. We don't know, but it's popped pretty good. So say all that, and I was talking about how this year is a disaster, for the soybean farmer in the U.S. You hear that.
It's all of the mainstream media.
Yeah,
they've interviewed the same guy, and he says it every time.
Yeah, well, but that's the general public. That's what they get, and it's like we got to do something to help these guys, these farmers, Yes. And
first.
Hey, I'm all in. Let's do it. And so, anyways, I'm at softball practice yesterday.
As
my
you
daughter's softball
routinely
practice.
do.
I do, and I'm talking to one of the other dads, and he's like, "What do you do again?" I'm like, "It's grain elevators." I'm like,
Podcasting.
My family doesn't know what I do, but I can try to explain it to you. And anyways, fun stuff. And he's like, these farmers are in real bad shape. The prices are terrible this year, and I don't know what's going to happen, and all that from what he hears. And he's not in ag, but
right.
He works for a beer company, which is cool.
But anyways, is in ag then.
Yeah, I guess so. In a ways, he's quite a bit downstream of that. But anyways, I said, well, yeah, actually prices are higher this year than they were last year. And I was like, what? I said, yeah, I think they are. So, not a huge amount, but it's a little higher than last year. Nobody's coming up to me at softball practice worried about soybean farmers last year,
right?
But they are this year. So, anyways, I was digging around, but of course, just because futures prices are higher doesn't mean the cash price of the farmer,
yeah.
So I just doing a little comparison since we're in the last week of October, comparing what it was this time last year. So that's a lot of preamble between what Roger said and what I said again. But now
that's what people remember about the Declaration of Independence. It's just the preamble. So
okay, yeah,
that's all I remember.
Yeah,
it's important.
I carry it around with me in my pocket everywhere I go. So just the preamble, though.
That's all that you need.
That's the ticket.
No one's going to listen past that. So.
Yeah, exactly.
Like this.
So, people stopped listening long ago. They're like, I thought he was going to do numbers, but now they just talked for 15 minutes. Okay, so the numbers are. Last year, the futures price on this day, last year was $9.97.
This is November bean futures?
November soybean futures. $9.97. Today, when I checked, it hadn't closed when I checked, but it's probably closed now. It was $10.40.
That's higher, Jason.
That's 43 cents higher. So I wasn't using Excel, I was just using a notepad, but I made an extra column and I did my my formulas in my head. So probably wrong. So fact check me here.
Got it.
Our TikTok bots will get after us here. So okay.
Randy, get on that.
So we got 43 cents to the good this year versus last year.
If you're a seller, if you're a buyer,
I'm not saying last year was great. Don't get me wrong, but I'm just comparing. Obviously, we've heard a lot more about how devastating it is this year because of the bean tariffs. and China exiting our thing. But like I was saying before, we got so much new processing online. We still got some demand in these other countries that are stepping in. I hear, Argentina's got to feed them cows somehow that they're going to sell us.
Cows to send to us.
Whatever that's, I don't know. I can't keep track of it all.
Everybody's mad right now.
It's all smokescreen, and I'm told I've never read The Art of the Deal, but apparently everything is that. So I just does that not make sense? Hey, if this doesn't make sense to you, you just haven't read The Art of the Deal. I'm just like I don't know. That just doesn't seem. But okay. Hey, I'm in
7D chess, Jason.
I'm in sales, right? So I need to pause on that, but yeah, I can't figure it out. So all right, so I said, well, let's look at the basis numbers last year versus this year, because obviously this year basis is terrible, but like we were talking about before, we've seen some improvement. So where do we stand right now?
Yeah.
Obviously 43 cents better on the cash. However, St. Louis, this is the river market bid, not a processor bid, but the St. Louis river market, obviously export market. This time last year was 25 over the November. Right now it's 15 over.
I think it's 30. I think I just saw something come out today.
Oh.
The call log we were talking about.
Okay.
I think it's 30. I think they popped to 30. So adjust that. This is real-time adjustment. So it's a little better.
So and a lot. So this, I guess,
but you can only load to 9-foot drafts. So
yeah. The basis numbers would have been as of yesterday afternoon.
Right.
So they're not updated for today. You're saying that popped 15 cents, more cents.
Yeah.
So if that's the case, which we can't ever trust Roger with numbers.
You shouldn't.
He's from Arkansas. But if that were the case, basis is actually 5 cents better this year than it was last year. My numbers from yesterday, basis is 10 cents worse. Still hasn't overcome that 43-cent improvement in futures, but it's worse. If it was yesterday, and now it's today. But you're listening to this in a month. Listen, it's time and space.
Look, if your grandma had wheels, she'd be a wagon.
That's what I hear. So, all right. So let's talk about the SIF numbers again as of yesterday. Roger, keep fact checking me. I don't know, but it's fine. So this time last year was 85 over in New Orleans.
Okay,
for soybeans. As of yesterday, it was 75 over.
I was told it's triple digits.
It's going to triple digits.
Okay.
Is what I saw in a tweet.
Dead.
But it's maybe,
close. Let's call it a push.
Rumors and rumors of tweets. Tweets and rumors of tweets. I'm trying to get it there. Okay. But so a dime lower. Again, we had a 43 cents more in the price, but we lost a dime there. So I'm like, all right, I got to get, it's the P&W, right? That's the problem because it's all the stuff going out west. So what about those
For
areas?
those listening, it's P-N as in the letter W, not P and W like A and W, root beer.
Mm-hmm.
Just to make sure.
Yeah, you get it. Okay, so I went to South Dakota. South Dakota basis this time last year was 60 under. This year it's 90 under.
That's lower, Jason.
That's lower by 30 cents. Quick math. Now, is that weaker or narrower?
Softer.
Okay. All right. But it's 30 cents worse. That's how I look at it. So, again, not great, but we did have 43 cents more in the futures price. So, net, we're still 13 cents better in South Dakota. So I was like, hey, go to Kansas City. That's where I'm from, live now. And we were 10 under this time last year, 35 under right now.
This is true. That's a good number.
Yeah. So 25 cents worse. Again, not overcoming that 43 cent thing, but that's where we're at. So I said, I got to go farther. I got to go farther north. I'm going North Dakota. So I looked up there. And that's
farther north.
That's as far north as you can get
for any soybeans. They don't grow them north of the globe.
There's no farther north place. It's because the Earth's on an axis, and North Dakota's right at the top of it. Okay. Sometimes. I don't know. It wobbles.
I didn't know that's where Sandy lived.
But listen, they were 75 under last year, and they obviously basis a lot worse down there. Up there this time of year. This year it's $1.25 under, which is a 50-cent lower basis this year than last, which does overcome that 43-cent price.
But in all fairness, North Dakota is always where the lowest prices of the lowest prices are at.
Yeah, but I'm comparing it North Dakota last year, North Dakota this year.
But they're always dragging up the
it's all a real wide,
softened,
weak, soft basis. And anyways, but yeah.
But they all have oil money from mineral rights, so they're all right.
My point is, in looking at this, so that one would be a net 7 cents worse than this time last year. All the other ones I tried to pull were exports markets were net worse basis but better overall cash price. So there you go. There's my research. I can feel everyone at home giving me a standing ovation for all that hard work and everything. But that's what I figured out. So Roger. So guys are still optimistic about soybeans because, for good reason, right? We have our biggest buyer is not buying, but you know how these deals get done. It's art of the deal, Roger. You might have heard of it. Sometimes it might get done, and when it does, prices are going to rally. Is that right?
Okay. I mean, seasonally, futures rally after harvest and basis pops after harvest. So, yeah, but based on those two kind of understood trends, yeah, sure.
Right. So that's why I think that's why people are waiting. However, with beans, you always have to remember, I mean, we're talking 5 cents a month in interest cost, and you're like, well, you know.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, you know, based on things.
At least 6, Jason.
Conservatively. Nickel's a rounder number. You know me, I always pull for the rounder numbers. And
you never do, actually.
So anyways, 5 or 6 cents at least interest cost. But the other thing is, I mean, man, if you don't take care of your beans right, you get them too dry. I mean,
it applies to a lot of things in life.
That's for sure. But I see a lot of, you pull them out of the bins and they got super dry, and now all of a sudden you can lose a lot more money.
You just throw the water hose in. That's what people do. I've been told. There's a fine line between blending and adulterating. You know, this guy knows what
one of them's about. In the 10 Commandments. So
I shall not blend over 2%.
Exactly. That's the one I was talking about.
Yeah, I know. If you look at it's kind of interesting too, you know, the whole trade scenario and where the market's at, who knows, but it seems that at least on the soybeans, the spreads being pretty stout all the way through July, through the summer. Like at one point, it's backed off a little now, but Nove July bean spreads is like 60 cent carry. That pays all of your interest cost, or right at it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not all that typical, right? To go all the way out there. And so it just has me thinking, like, does that mean that the market's kind of anticipating it's going to take longer to chew through all the beans? Yeah, I think that would make sense. If we go from having a market where we get rid of a whole bunch early in the season to not, well, the market's adjusting to incentivize the people that are carrying it out there. It's what it seems to be doing anyway. Who knows all the reasons in why the spreads are doing what they're doing, but that seems to make a lot of sense. If you've got to carry them further out of harvest, the market's structured in a way to allow that to happen.
Which for beans is crazy unheard of.
Yeah, right.
Especially that far. Sometimes you can get a Nove Jan, maybe Jan, March.
Sometimes you push to May, but man, to the July is something else. At the same time, corn spreads have narrowed up. But again, that's a seasonal thing. In end of October, they can tend to do that. When guys get wrapped up with harvest and price stuff out, or you get close to roll day at the end of November, they fly back out a little bit again. Who knows?
Do you think that's kind of indicative of people holding more beans and more corn? Well,
that's where I was getting at with this was it seems like for sure in the upper plains, in the Dakotas, Nebraska and stuff, where guys couldn't sell beans on rail to the P&W, they were moving corn to Mexico or wherever, just to make space for beans, to handle their – we can sell corn, we can get it out here, maybe not making great margins on it, but at least we can handle our guys' beans. We'll have somewhere to put them until things change and we can get rid of them. So you have seen more corn. I think corn exports have been really good. People's been getting rid of stuff. Obviously, chickens aren't eating anymore just because there's more around. But, on that side of it, there has been more out. And you look at those deferred carry spreads on corn, they've pulled in,
a lot. Yeah.
Again, lots to be written for that. But at one time, Deesh July was 35, 36 cent carry, and now it's 27, 28.
Mm-hmm.
Again, it's gone from well over all your interest to just right at it. It's not a death blow by any means, but it is something. On top of this, it's interesting, even in the markets that had a record corn crop, you go to the southeast, take Georgia, for instance, huge corn crop, maybe the biggest ever this year, acres and yield. Everybody's got this, but guess what? Corn basis is done in a lot of the feed mills down there for nearby delivery or Ocnove delivery. Can you believe it's popped like 20 cents? We got all this corn. How's basis popping? Because it's not available corn. It's not there to be moved, off the farm. So if you're a buyer, if you're a feed mill or whatever, how are you going to get grain in? Well, if price isn't helping you, basis is your only other tool, unless you go to free DP, but those guys really don't ever do that. Don't play that game down there. So basis is it. You've got to entice corn out of the hands of commercials that are looking at these big carry spreads, or maybe locked in bigger ones than we have now. Basis is the only tool they've got to leverage that to come in, and that's what they're doing.
Yep.
Even though all of this corn is sitting around their area, it's not available because it's not priced.
Yep.
So it might as well not exist at this moment. Now, we get to February, ahead of land payment season. All that stuff is going to be probably just a flood of stuff come in. Or even maybe Jan 2nd. I don't know this year. It'd be earlier. Last several years, more of this stuff's been moving earlier and earlier as a bulk percentage of what's out there for cash flow needs.
No, get these FSA offices open and...
Well, that's where I'm going. That's where I'm going to with all this. So if I'm a merchandiser and I'm looking at these time frames when things usually happen, and I'm like, well, there'll be a lot of stuff moving JFM. Maybe I need to get some sales on. And worst case scenario, I'll move my own bushels on. It's a good margin, but I'm going to try to buy it in because I'll have a bunch of farm movement. Great, and I'll roll my stuff on out. Things like that. And that probably still applies fine. But this whole payment thing, specifically on beans, corn to a degree as well, but it seems to always be exacerbated on beans. When the government pays bean farmers for their beans, it is not going to probably be contingent on them selling the crop to get the check. They will just wait, as you say, they will wake up one day and the money's in the account. They're like, look at this, it's a bean fairy. Left me surprised under my pillow.
Why am I working other jobs?
Right.
That's what they... Yeah.
So that is going to be seen as, I have cash flow now. I'll just wait on selling these beans longer. And they will. And then we'll have it all puked out next summer probably on a rally, which hopefully we have a rally. And that'd be great. But the supply chain is going to be not fun. Then in a time of year when we need to be starting getting wound down to prepare for the next harvest, it feels like it's going to shape up like, what was it, 19, the summer of 19 after the harvest of 18, where this stuff's going to come in after the payments and just guys are going to wait till the bitter end. The clean out bin's way late, and then elevators are going to be full going into that harvest. That's what it feels like. Lots to be written, obviously. But I'm sure other people will disagree, but if that payment is based on current prices, maybe it's not. I don't know. I don't know how they come up with the stuff. But if it is, it seems like it would be contingent on the beans having to be sold or the grain having to be sold to get that payment because it's reflecting the current shortfall, right?
Why are you against the freedom to make their own choices on selling their beans?
Because it skews the rest of the supply chain trying to work this out. So if it's predicated on they get the check on the grain getting sold, then they sell it. Elevators handle it. They get to take advantage of carry spreads, maybe, or get it sold, turn it into cash. You get the stuff out of here and get it to the users as they need it. If it just delays stuff getting brought to market, and it all gets brought to market at some point, regardless of what the price is doing, but at some point it has to come to market. Every month you go into spring, summer, there's less ability for downstream, say elevators, to make any money on these bushels when it comes in. And I know there's people listening and be like, who cares? It's elevators. Who cares if they make money? But, that's who I work for, so that's who I care about. Because, you've got all this time, so there was no carries could be picked up. You're going to get a back-to-back margin at best. you've missed the pop, right? You've missed the basis pop after harvest already. Not saying there couldn't be fireworks in the transition period, but if this stuff all hangs on the farm until the bitter end and pukes out, it's going to come into harvest at once. It's not going to be fun logistically. Guys are going to be scrambling to get, and someone will be full going into harvest. That's just that happened in 19. It seems like it's shaping up to happen again. But I can be proven wrong. I hope I am. And I hope everybody's happy with whatever happens. Just be happy.
That's so cheery, Roger.
It's real.
'Tis the season almost.
There's the right answer, Jason, and then there's the real answer.
Okay. Whatever you say. So with this big carry in the market, if I got it in my farm bins, that means by the time I get out there, so if I just hold to July, I'll get an extra, what'd you say, 60 cents?
No.
Okay.
Wrong.
I mean, I feel like we drive that point home a lot, but I also feel like it's the most common misunderstanding, I guess. Like,
I don't even know if people believe that, honestly. I think they just stick it in the bin and just hope it gets better.
Right.
Because
everybody wants
seasonally it does, right? It does. There's a reason behind doing it. It makes
people want to hope
logical.
it gets better.
Yeah.
But how much more do you want it to get better? Well, as much as I can get.
Right.
Well, if we could get a 60-cent rally, would you sell it? Yeah. Okay. Well, you can have that today. If you're willing to carry it out there anyways, you can get that today.
Well, yeah, but that's something different, Jason.
Right. But by the time we get out there, in a lot of years, and hey, this year could be, who knows, trade deals and tariffs, and who knows what could spook the market or send it to the moon. But traditionally, big carry markets, they tend to, the down escalator theory of the nearby market tends to get back to where the old nearby market was. So it's like, hey, we got a 60-cent carry, and, so July's around $11, so I'll just wait till July and get $11. Well, by the time we get to July, there still might be carries all the way along, but by the time we get to July, it might be right back here at $10.40 again or whatever. So, anyways.
So all you're saying is you got to sell something to take advantage of the carry.
That's true. That's a true switching gears, shifting gears, whatever you want to do. Get after those gears. That's a good place to wrap on all the serious talk. But couple of points of order here.
Can we talk about Splorn now?
Yeah, go for it. What do you got to say? You got 30 seconds.
There was a video on the Twitters, and
I saw it.
This guy was just bemoaning that he couldn't sell his Splorn crop, and people are worried for this man.
Poor guy.
The comments, they are very, and I got to say, until yesterday, I did not know Splorn was grown. It looks like a corn stalk with the Milo on top, or tall Milo, if you will, because it already looks like it, right? I've got to run this by my Milo expert friend in McPherson, Kansas, to see what his take is on the Splorn, see if they had good Splorn out there. I heard they had great Milo and corn and beans. So
yeah.
But anyway, this guy, tremendous Splorn crop. You can't get it sold because of the government.
Can't do anything with it.
It's
going to rot in the field.
Like that.
Yeah. So hopefully these government will step in and help guys. not just on the beans, but your Splorn, your
all
corn, your Milo, your rice. Help us out.
Your beef's on the hoof, apparently now.
Yeah, they're coming for us.
I mean, look, as a consumer, I'm not going to bemoan if the cost of a ribeye goes down. Sorry. Unpopular opinion, maybe.
Wow. Big.
I know, just putting it out there. Sorry.
I would say that might be a hot take. Of all the takes, that might be a hot
one. A freezing cold take?
It could be. So anyways, couple things. So we've had people reach out on the koozies, the beautiful elevators cut koozies with your hashtag win basis. Look like grain bins, and it's fun. If you want one, reach out, DM us, comment. I don't know. Text Roger.
No, don't text me.
Show up at his house. Whatever you need to do. And
I don't have any there.
We'll get you.
HQ's got them.
They're free. We're not trying to sell merch. We're just trying to.
We should be
spread it out into the ether. We're too worried about the tax man coming and taking our money, but he may need it to pay all these Splorn farmers and maybe Splorn money. But So we just give things away. That's what we do. We give away our hot takes, and we give away our koozies.
And our
so reach
takes.
out. And I will say this be coming out first week of December. Roger and I will be out in St. Louis doing a meeting. So
technically Clayton, Missouri.
That's right. It's the metro area. But yeah, we'll be out in
less murdery part. I think.
Yes, that's the key. So we're not in downtown this time
right,
around, but
yeah.
But no, we're going to be teaching a 2-day thing or helping teach 2-day deal on just the basics of basis trading and how it works. And like if you're a farmer and you have bins, how to make that basis and spread money. We're always talking about like, we're going to get down into the nitty gritty. We'll have numbers that you can see and calculate on your phone and do whatever.
Not round numbers, though.
It's going to be great. And, we probably won't be wearing hoodies.
Speak for yourself.
But we'll see. We'll see. But anyways, it's December 2nd and 3rd. It's in St. Louis. So if you can come out, see us, hang out for a couple days, have dinner.
No one wants to hang out with us for a couple days.
Whatever. Well, you can listen to our grand knowledge. Here's the downside. I will warn everybody. You cannot do this at 3 times speed.
It'll be
the technology doesn't exist
3
yet.
times speed because math will be involved.
The technology
and we're
doesn't
going to be
exist
in front of people.
But yeah,
and you get performance anxiety with math.
That's right. That's for sure. So and Jeff Reardon will be with us, and we'll be going over like mark-to-market accounting and how that all fits into everything. And he's always really, really good with all that. So anyways, and it's a joint thing with Uncommon Farms, which is a great group of folks. And so anyways, if you would like to do that, reach out, come sign up, have a good time. We'll be out there. Other than that, Merry Christmas and
Happy Hanukkah.
There we go. Till next time. As always, thanks for downloading and listening. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the podcast and share it with folks you know in the business.
And if you'd like to reach out anytime about anything at all or have any show ideas, you can always find us on Twitter at ElevatorsCut. Follow us there, tweet at us, DM us, and we'll always respond.
Till next time, for Roger, I'm Jason.
And for Jason, I'm Roger.
Thanks for listening to the Elevators Cut.
Oh.